Boxing tells you everything you need to know. Who's ready? Who's prepared? There's no hiding in the ring. Kendall Gill and Tony Lopez. Two fighters, one ring. Real opinions. The Parley.
What up, y'all? Welcome into the Parlay alongside 15-year NBA veteran Kendall Gill. Welcome to the first show of the year for you, man.
Thank you, T-Lo. I know I've been kind of out of sight, but not out of mind. But I have business. This is basketball season, so
sure.
I'm busy with the Bulls and stuff like that. But I'm glad to make it back for this episode, bro.
That's right. And also Phoenix, Northwestern, we see him
Phoenix
doing his thing.
Northwestern, exactly, and Coda with the golf. So I'm busy, man, and I got a wife too.
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day.
Who's mad at you right now?
Oh yeah. I got 3 gentlemen who are married in the studio right now that are like anxious. We got to get out of here. So we're gonna try to make this as quick as possible here on the show. The Parlay is sponsored by 60/40 Club. If you want to know Kendall Gill's regimen, check it out. He's still doing it, and Kendall's still doing some athletic activity.
I am. But it gets harder though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'll be 58 soon, so it gets harder to get myself out of the bed.
Well, you're doing better than me.
Yeah,
always. Every time I do this, I get embarrassed talking about this. Also, sponsored by State Farm. Daryl Rivera, who is actually an agent. He is going to take good care of you guys. If you need anything from auto, home, life, health, business, financial services, free quotes and policy reviews, he will take care of you. Visit him at Daryl is my agent on Instagram. And of course, if you want to visit his website, it's darylismyagent.com. Again, darylismyagent.com. We have all that stuff right there on the screen for you, just in case you didn't understand me. It's right there. Check him out. He will take good care of you. Again, Daryl, State Farm agent in the building. Guys, it is the second episode of the year, and we have a lot to get to. But before we do that, we have a special guest here with us today via Zoom, and it is the one and only voice, one of the voices of boxing in our generation, Mr. Ray Flores in the building. Ray, what's up, man? How you doing?
Such a pleasure to join you guys, T-Lo, Kendall, the entire Parlay crew. Happy 2026 to everybody as well, and looking forward to getting going with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Well, myself, our correspondent Brooks and KG are gonna have some questions for you, man. We're excited to talk to you. You are, again, one of those guys that when we hear your voice, we know there's some type of combat sports activity happening on our screen.
That's right.
So, and first, man, we're gonna go dive into this, man. Ray, you saw what happened with Teofimo and Shakur a couple of weeks ago. Listen, I'm a guy who appreciates the sport of boxing in all aspects. I'm a purist. I consider myself a purist, and I thoroughly enjoyed the master class that Shakur provided for us versus Teofimo Lopez. A lot of people weren't. They thought it was boring. They want to see some more action. They want to see some knockouts. But my question to you, Ray, is: did you appreciate it yourself as a boxing purist that I know you are to be?
Without a doubt, T-Lo. I mean, it was a master class. It was a systematic breakdown of a world champion that we saw by Shakur Stevenson. Kendall knows this, and you guys know the phrase that when they talk about boxing, there are levels to this. Leonard Ellerbe used to say that about Floyd. Floyd used to say that when he was in his heyday. There is levels to this game, and Shakur proved that against Teofimo Lopez, because nobody does that to Teofimo Lopez. I don't care the fact that his dad might be limited and may have hit his apex as his trainer, but Teofimo Lopez is still Teofimo Lopez, and Shakur Stevenson made him look like he didn't even belong in the same zip code as him.
Yeah, Ray, and the thing is, I thought Teofimo would have some sort of a chance. I actually thought this fight, I gave Shakur a little bit of the edge, but I did not know that he was going to just be blasted out of there the way that he was, because I thought that because of his athleticism, because of the power that he had, that, he could possibly get to Shakur. But what do you think, where do you rate Shakur's defense as far as all-time greats? Because, next to Mayweather, I haven't really seen anybody with Shakur's defense.
I'm glad you brought that up, because in this generation, he is the best defensive fighter of this generation. I have not seen this since Floyd. And even Floyd, towards the tail end of his career, when he was fighting, and these are nuances, right? When he was fighting Maidana, he got hit a little bit more. When he fought Berto, he got hit a little bit more. He got clocked by Pacquiao. So this is a Shakur Stevenson, the best defensive performance that we have seen in the sport of boxing, Kendall, since I'd have to say Floyd and Canelo back in September of 2013. So you're looking at almost 13 years of a quality performance at this level that we just witnessed at MSG with Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, because you can put him up there with Floyd, you can put him up there with Sweet Pea Whitaker, you could put him up there with some of the greats, with Fredo Benitez, the way that he was able to avoid punches. I just thought that in my opinion, I was like somewhere along the line, Teofimo was going to catch him. He didn't touch him at all.
Well, another problem, Kendall, is that Teofimo was unable to make this a physical fight. When you're fighting a guy like Shakur, that's a mover that uses every bit of that ring, you've got to corner him. You got to put your body on him. You got to attack the body. You have to make it a high contact kind of a fight. And Teofimo was able to do none of that whatsoever. On top of that, Shakur Stevenson has underrated power. The kid can crack. Let's not mistake that at all either.
You know, Ray, one of the things I think about when it comes to the way Shakur fights is, can he be a main event, selling type of fighter that, you look forward into as a promoter, right? You want somebody who can sell tickets, who can be the face of your company, whatever the case may be. The way he fights, can Shakur be that still?
I think that the public would appreciate it more if Shakur was more brash, because, if you are going to be just a quality world-class fighter, unfortunately, the public has so many options when it comes to entertainment. You need a reason to be able to do that. And right now, boxing is so nuanced because, unfortunately, it is not on network television. It's not on ESPN, freely available for the masses to be able to enjoy. So it's really, really niche right now. In order to be a crossover star, you either have to be a knockout artist like how Deontay Wilder has been over the course of his career, where he knocks you senseless with one shot, or Mike Tyson back in the day, or you have to have this villain kind of mentality like Floyd did. And when Floyd was moving up to 40, 47, he wasn't knocking guys out, still beating people convincingly, but they were must-see events because the public cared. They wanted to see Floyd Mayweather get beat. Shakur Stevenson is not a villain, so if he's going to have this style, which I think is mesmerizing, he's going to have to be able to say, okay, be more brash, be more cocky, be more arrogant, almost play a character, because you need to be able to entice the general sports audience to watch your fights and watch you perform.
Well, Shakur did his thing. Again, impressive, a champ, and he's in his prime. He's in his absolute prime, so I definitely agree with you on that, Ray.
So, hey, Ray, how are you? It's Brooks. Pleasure to speak with you, sir. One thing that I noticed from Lopez is a lot of times he was bringing his right foot up when he was looking to punch, especially when he was trying to move in. I had the understanding that maybe he didn't go against enough southpaws. Did you kind of catch that? What was your take on that?
I caught it, and unfortunately, Teo's dad, you got to correct that in training, Brooks, and you really have to fine tune that. The thing is, you and I see that. Can you imagine what Shakur and his team that have been at the highest level? I mean, Shakur Stevenson is an Olympic silver medalist, for crying out loud, and has been fighting championship fights for quite a while now. If we're seeing that, can you imagine what they're seeing? You got to make adjustments. And Teo's dad did not make adjustments. He's got to go to a new trainer. He should have been gone to a new trainer. Or if you still want to be the lead in the corner, you got to bring in other quality guys. Like one thing about Gervonta Davis, when he has people in his corner, yes, he does have his corner, but he'll bring in a Barry Hunter occasionally or other outside forces. You got to do that. And Teo's dad gets in the way, and unfortunately, it really showed at Madison Square Garden when he lost to Shakur.
Now the question is, where does Shakur go next? We all saw Conor Benn jump in the ring, and Conor Benn says that, look, you're too small for me. But as I've learned from Floyd Mayweather, skills pay the bills, and how do you think that fight will turn out if it's made?
I think it's the next logical fight to make, Kendall, because, you saw what Conor Benn went through with Eubank, and I don't see them running that back again a third time. So Conor needs an opponent. Shakur's coming off of the win against Teofimo Lopez. And to be honest with you, I think it's one of those kind of things that Shakur can better his brand if he goes overseas. If he fights Conor Benn at Wembley Stadium in front of 80,000 people, or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, one of those big football stadiums, those soccer stadiums out there in the UK, I think that makes sense. Shakur would then be able to expand his brand when he comes back here stateside and say, look, I went and I beat a guy who's in his prime in the UK in front of 80,000 people who despise me, and now I'm coming home. That's the next logical move.
Well, we'll see what happens against Shakur Stevenson. Did his thing, and his stock has risen. He's got the belts, and we'll see what opponent comes next to Shakur. So we're excited to see that. Our next big fight coming up, Ray, is Ryan Garcia and Barrios. We are looking to see the return of Ryan Garcia, and we are looking to see if Ryan is really back, right? We don't know what happened last year in that event in New York where Ryan just looked lackadaisical, didn't seem invested, and almost just gave the fight away, it seemed, with his non-activity. What do you feel about Ryan going into this fight, facing his former trainer?
Well, there's so many storylines, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact, Tilo, that he is fighting Mario Barrios, who happens to be trained by the legendary, the Hall of Famer Joe Goosen, who happened to be in the corner of Ryan Garcia when he lost to Gervonta Davis. So there's a little bit of animosity there. But it's what Ryan Garcia are we going to see? Are we going to see the hyper-motivated and locked-in Ryan Garcia that we saw against Devin Haney? Or are we going to see a Ryan Garcia who's lackluster, who, seems to not be or only be going through the motions against Rolly Romero? Here's what I'll say real quick, guys, about that fight against Rolly Romero. And Rolly deserves all the credit and the accolades for beating Ryan Garcia. But everybody I talked to that was involved in that event, and I have a lot of friends of mine that were involved, that was a weird event based on the time of the day it was, the crowd. It was kind of just like, is this sparring? Is this not? The TV lights were there. Getting to the ring wasn't easy. So there are a lot of different factors. And Ryan is a creature of habit. And I think that we get the most motivated Ryan Garcia that we have seen in quite some time. However, I do believe that we get the most focused and determined Mario Barrios, who is, incidentally, a Chicago Bears fan. So a little bit of plug there for Mario Barrios. You know what I mean? I like the fact that he represents the navy and orange. But Mario is a very tough guy, and he is come forward. And I think that after the fight against Pacquiao that he had last July in Las Vegas, he realizes he cannot leave it in the hands of the judges, and he has to let his hands fly. I think we get the best out of both guys on February 21st.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great fight as well. But if Ryan does get past this fight, he's talked about fighting Shakur, and we've actually discussed this right before you came on. I think that he should go back and rematch Devin. That's unfinished business, okay? You rematch Devin, then if you win that fight, then you go to Shakur. I think there's a lot of good money-making fights out there for Ryan if he is to get past this fight against Barrios.
Yeah, Kendall, look, there were a lot of things surrounding that fight with Devin Haney because of, the drug test and everything else. So he does need to run that back because Devin Haney has gotten better since that performance. What he did to Brian Norman was very impressive. And if Ryan defeats Mario Barrios, he becomes a world champion. I think he owes it to Devin as to say, hey, if you want it, let's go at it again. And then the winner of that fight we're kind of making a tournament here, Kendall, here in the park.
Hey, Super Six, the Super Six all over again.
Yeah, seriously. The winner of that fight should fight the winner of Shakur and Conor Benn. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And we pretty much have booked, Riyadh season over the next 18 months, and they can send us the check in the mail. So for all four of us.
Looking at Ryan Garcia, okay, and how do you think, because I don't want this drug testing thing or the drug story to come into play anymore. Both fighters should be tested by VADA. How do we get past the suspense or the projection of somebody is cheating if Ryan is to fight Devin again?
I think at this point, Kendall, what you need to do is you need to get everyone involved over these, all the players that are going to be involved in these fights over the next 18 months or whatever. And I think you need to do year-round testing. Even if you're not enrolled, year-round testing. So you could be hanging out with your family on Christmas Eve, and if VADA shows up at your door, well, that's what you have to do. If you really are, and the money's there, because these guys are making enough money, and I think that they need to go ahead and do year-round testing. That's without a doubt.
We'll see what happens with this. We are all looking forward to. I think boxing fans in general are just salivating at the mouth to see Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia Part 2. It is a fight that doesn't need much promotion.
That's the biggest fight, man. That's the money-making fight. It has all kind of controversy in it.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens with that, but we got to see and make sure that Ryan is locked in this fight and see the Ryan of old, right? The Ryan of old that was dominant, that was first, left hook power. We all want to see that. So we'll see what happens. We're looking forward to see Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios do battle as well. Hey, Deontay Wilder's back, KG.
Hey,
your boy's back. He
is.
How do you feel about that, Ray? Do you think obviously, I'm money talks, of course. But how do you feel about Wilder getting back into the ring?
I love Deontay Wilder. I got an opportunity. I have worked with him for over 10 years. He was on, with PBC, watching him do what he's done. He brought American boxing back when it comes to the heavyweights. And he doesn't get enough credit, guys, because when people look at, he lost to Tyson Fury, the complaints that he had against Tyson Fury in the second fight. But in my opinion, he needs to be able to be given his flowers because of what he did for heavyweight boxing when no one was talking about heavyweight boxing in this country. I like the fight against Derek Chisora. Chisora is way past his prime, but you know what? He's a tough dude. Yeah. I've been around Chisora a few times, and he's a scary dude. I just feel this energy and this sense of violence from him. And Wilder, the last thing to go with the heavyweight is power. I'm glad to see Wilder back. And there is talk, if Wilder beats Chisora, then Wilder and Usyk in the summertime. And guess what? It's not overseas, guys. It's back here in the mainland in the United States of America, the good old US of A. So let's see it happen. It's been a minute since we've seen a heavyweight championship fight here. So let's go.
I hope you're running the presser for that one. That'd be ridiculous.
That's right.
Right. My question to you, Ray, is in regards to Deontay Wilder's defense. A lot of times I see that he has bad fundamentals. His hands are kind of out away from his chin, not too many slips. He's just looking to land that right hand. Have you heard anything from camp about maybe adjustments or anything like that in his defense?
Brooks, over the course of after the second fight with Fury, I know Malik Scott very well, and who is one of his trainers in the past. And I know that Deontay has made a conscientious effort to work on his defense and improve things. But at the same time, he is who he is. He's an offensive fighter. And Kendall knows this. It's like if you are an up-tempo team that you want to go ahead and you have 3 or 4 guys that can shoot over 45% from beyond the arc, you got to do that. You can't slow the game down. You got to get up and down the floor and make it a fast-paced, high-action game. That's the thing with Deontay Wilder. Stick to what you know. Be offensive and hope that you catch somebody quickly, because I'll tell you what, Deontay Wilder has generational power, and all he needs is one shot, but I want to see him set up the shot in a better way instead of trying to telegraph it. I don't think it's necessarily his defense. I think he needs to be a bit more calculated offensively, because that power is earth-rattling.
Great point. I do know somebody that actually sparred against him, and he's a world champion in MMA, and he told me, he's like, that's the hardest I've ever been hit in my life. So he's always got a puncher's chance. I just hope he works on the other attributes of boxing so we can really see a good show.
Well, you know what, man? All these awesome fights happen, but there is a what we call a pregame or a promotional period to where we get to see these guys talk at press conferences. There's 24/7s that we've seen back in the day when Floyd started them, a documentary series. But really, that lead up to the beginning of the fight and the week and fight week, there's a big, important position in there, and that is moderating these pressers. Ray, you've been in the fray of so many different big-time fights, from Ryan Garcia to you name it. I got to ask you, as a guy who's been in media and who yearns to do stuff like you do, and play-by-play announcing and all that type of stuff, how do you handle these characters? Obviously we know that some of them press and they're doing it for promotion. They got to sell the fight. But sometimes there's some real animosity that you experience in these pressers. How do you do it?
Well, number one, I try to, let these guys just be who they are. I don't try to police them in any regard because I want them to be their true, authentic selves. I really don't. I say hello to them beforehand, and that's about it. The only time I think that I ever really worried from a safety standpoint is when David Benavidez fought David Morrell. We did the kickoff press conference, but the reason why I prefaced it, and I talked about both Davids, is because they were kind of nose to nose during the pay-per-view video shoot. And these are both big guys. And I told David Benavidez, I go, look, I'm like, I've known you for a long time. I'm like, please keep it civil. I'm like, I don't want to get hit. If I get hit with one shot, my jaw's broken, guys, and there's my living for at least a year.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, that's the only time I've done it, but I let them be who they are. And sometimes, I don't know if you notice this, but when sometimes the podium is blocking, I'll step back so that the guys can look at each other. I'm like, what are you saying this to me for? So I'll step back and essentially give them the floor to say, you don't have to tell me this. I'm not fighting you. Tell the guy that you're talking to. And they look at each other and stuff like that. It could get testy at times, but for the most part, everyone's civil. And I just let them be who they are because that's what sells. I want their true, authentic selves.
Ray, we've done fights together. We did Pacquiao Thurman together, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And we did a fight down in Louisiana. I think it's Regis Prograis. Yeah, Regis Prograis. And, I know that you are a moderator, but you also, the way that you call fights, you set them up perfectly. I think that you're like a perfect quarterback, game manager. You know how to hand it off to somebody to have them make a comment. I mean, you did a great job with me. It was my first couple fights. But when you're calling a fight, what do you try to see to tell the audience out there or explain to them what's happening?
I want to give the audience, Kendall, the truest of reaction and feeling of what it's like to be in the arena. Because you can see, he's throwing his jab, he's throwing the right hand. And I still do that, as you know. But I want to give the emotion. I want to give the passion. I want to give what the pageantry is all about. What we have gotten away from is prize fighting. There is an energy. There is a buzz. There's an electricity when fights happen. Or at the end of the round, if they're showing a replay, I'll look up in the corners and see if I witness any body language or if the corner is freaking out or what I'm hearing. Because we're there at ringside, as you know, and I'm close to one corner. They'll put us either by the red corner or the blue corner. And I'm trying to hear all this stuff as I have the headphones on and everything else. I'm trying to give the audience the best perspective of what I see and what I'm feeling and the energy and everything in between. That's my job as a play-by-play announcer on these incredible fights.
I know. So we're doing the fight in Louisiana, right? So I'm sitting down, and Ray says, "Oh, you know what? I got to go up in the ring, and I have to introduce the fighters." They leave me to talk about the ring walk, and I have no notes, no nothing. I'm like, what am I supposed to talk about? I don't have Ray with me here. But Ray came and sat back down, and we were okay. We called it a great fight.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun working with you, Kendall. Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, same here.
An icon in the media industry when it comes to the world of boxing is obviously Jim Lampley. We all grew up on Jim. We miss Jim even when he called the most recent fights last year, right? It was so good to see good to hear. A knowledgeable voice and a familiar voice. Do you base some of what you do off of what Jim does? And how do you feel about Jim as a guy who's in this position?
I think Jim is an icon and deserves all the accolades and the praise that he's gotten. I like what I look at is I know what my style is, but I also pay attention to the greats, right? And not just in the fight world, but I look at Jim Lampley. I thought Steve Albert, very underrated as well back. He did Showtime Championship Boxing, back 30, 35 years ago. But then, being in Chicago, we were exposed to so many great play-by-play guys. I mean, to me, and Kendall knows him so well, Neil Funk, I thought, did a wonderful job of, being so accurate and detailed. And Pat Foley, the same thing. So I pay attention to the nuances of those guys, along with, the Lampleys of the world and the Steve Alberts. And I kind of mishmash that into what my style is, because I know what my identity is as a broadcaster and as a performer. And I have a checklist in my mind of what I owe the audience. And that's first and foremost. You owe it to the audience and you owe it to the fighters, because they're the ones that are risking their lives inside that ring.
Absolutely, man. You understand the sport so well. I think any combat sport, not only boxing, but it's a risk for all these athletes that go in there. And it's your job to paint the picture for us that are at home, to be able to understand the sport and also understand the action that's being displayed. So flowers to you, Ray Flores, and you from Chicago, representing us as always. We appreciate that. Ray, what are you looking forward to in 2026 moving forward in boxing, man? What's any big headlines for you? Anything pops out to you?
Curious to see what happens. I mean, are we going to see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua? I know that it's over there, but I think that fight is owed to the fans over there. And I want to see more fights go in cities. And listen, Saudi Arabia's done a wonderful job, and they are just putting on these incredible cards. But I want to see the fights happen more in the hometowns of these fighters, and more in Vegas, and more here stateside, and the UK wars. I want to see those happen at Wembley Stadium and Tottenham Hotspur, and in Manchester. I want to see that, because that's what makes boxing so great. I mean, when I was on the Mayweather-McGregor tour, and we went to London, and we had 5,000 fans from Ireland just come over to London just to see a 1-hour press conference to hear from their idol and Conor McGregor, and being in Vegas when Canelo Alvarez fights, and all the fans from Mexico and from Los Angeles, and the love that they have for Canelo. I think that's so important. When Terrence Crawford fights in Nebraska, that's so huge. Shakur, when he fights in New Jersey. I want to see more hometown fights. That's what I'm hoping that we see more of in the sport of boxing, because it is necessary. I think it'll really bring some more attention to the sport in a general sports fan's perspective. So I think that is something that I hope to witness here in 2026.
Well, Ray, it's an honor and pleasure to have you on the Parlay, man. We hope to have you soon after a couple more months of boxing, and we could talk a little bit about the sport in itself. But man, keep doing what you're doing. We're proud of you here in Chicago. KG, I know you are.
Yes, sir.
Brooks as well, the whole team.
Much respect.
We always follow you, and you're doing a great job, man. So thank you for coming on the show with us.
Pleasure was all mine, Tilo, Kendall, and Brooks. I appreciate it. Anytime you guys need me, I'm here for you, and proudly representing Chicago, Illinois, as always, guys, no matter where I go on the globe.
Hey, real quick. Bears next year? Super Bowl?
Come on, hey, look, the past two, they did it 20 years ago. The Bears, put it this way, and Kendall, I'm telling all you guys, I'm not married yet, but listen, Valentine's Day is happening on Super Sunday next year. So get your wives, get your girlfriends, and tell them we're going to Los Angeles, because the Bears will be at SoFi Stadium, baby.
There you go. Exactly. I hear you, man.
That was perfect. Thank you, sir.
Nice.
Bear down, man. Nice to see you again, Ray.
Later.
That was Ray Flores here on the Parlay, man. Ray's always so colorful, man.
He is, and Ray's one of the best in the business. He has done so much for the sport, also so much for the city of Chicago. Him being from Chicago represents us well, represents the boxing community well. And, me having worked with Ray made me appreciate him all the more. I mean, I had seen him on TV for a number of years. And then when I got to call a fight with him, I was like, man, I mean, this guy is like almost legendary. How am I going to keep up with him? Yep. But, I went in there and I said, you know what? This is what I do, just basketball, so I'm just going to do it for boxing. and I was able to make it through. But he made it a lot easier for me.
Yeah, no, and Ray is a consummate professional. You and Brooks, you were in the gyms all the time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Jim. Obviously, for those of you that know, Brooks is our correspondent, of course, that you've seen him on our social media pages, but also is in the gym. He's doing what are your combat sports?
So I do boxing and kickboxing. Mainly kickboxing, but I teach boxing and kickboxing at Phoenix Sports Empire. We got 2 locations, one in Naperville, one in Lisle, Illinois.
Naperville, okay,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man. So we gotta. I might have to go to the gym or something with you, bro. Because I keep telling myself I got to get to a boxing gym, and I I don't.
And you'll go once,
and I'll go once.
and then you'll stop for the next 6
KG
months.
acting like he know me, bro. I don't know about this. I don't like this. I don't like, bro.
Stop through. We would love to have you.
A lot of stuff happening in 2026, guys. It's been a good first month and a half here for boxing. We can't see what happens, man. It's gonna. We can't wait to see what happens. I'm sorry. It's gonna be awesome. But our next big fight is Ryan Garcia Barrios. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, me
we
too.
want to see the Ryan of old. We want it. We want that setup for Garcia, for Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. And Devin Haney and his dad have been making noise all off season.
Well, they
Continue to make noise.
but you know what? They never stop. Okay, they talk during off periods. They talk when they're about to fight. They talk during the fight. So you got to get used to that. But you know what though? It's good for the sport.
Yeah.
Because it's good for the sport because it always keeps everything fresh, everything new. Because you're always looking to see what they got to say.
That's right.
That's
Always. Right. We'll see what happened, guys. Hey, the Parley sponsored by 6040 Club. Don't forget to check out Kendall Gill's regimen. And, of course, do not forget, sponsored by Dale Rivera from State Farm. If you want more information on auto, home, life, health, business, financial services, free quotes, and policy reviews, you got to hit Daryl up. It's there. It's in the description box. Y'all do what you need to do. He'll take good care of you here with the State Farm Insurance company he has and on the Parley because he's going to be with us for a while. Right, Daryl? He's actually here today.
Right,
I don't know if he's actually here today with us. Also, don't forget, guys, our new segments are coming up from the Parley Sidebar. If you haven't been paying attention, guys, we got so much content going up here from our correspondents. But me and KG are back with Parley Sidebar, so be ready for you guys to engage and answer some questions that we have for you guys, the boxing family and community. All right, man. It's Valentine's Day. I gotta let the boys go. I don't.
Right. We all have wives in here.
Yeah,
except for him.
Except for me. So I'm getting yelled at by 3 women right now. Okay, I gotta let them go.
4.
4.
Yeah, 4.
Soon 5. The Parley.